So how are things looking for that beautiful new meta for January 1st? And make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So this is, I've seen a couple of interesting little tier lists. Now this is the one that I wanted to talk about because it feels a little bit weird in consideration to the OCG meta and how they view a lot of things differently from us. So you're going to notice straight off the bat in S tier, you're going to see Sky Striker being mentioned here. And it's kind of crazy to think about because, you know, Sky Striker has no hits on it right now. And a lot of the logic tells me here that, I mean, sure, in a format where you have everything, Sky Striker systematically seems to be a good deck. But this is been proven false many a times. Sky Striker will pop its head out of the hole, but to actually think that Sky Striker is going to be one of the craziest decks, I don't really think that's going to be the case. Now, the OCG also has Magistus up here with the Draco Tail stuff. Now, they just lost Malulu, and Ketu is still taken care of, but they still have the full Magistus package that they can do whatever that they want to with. They still have access to Borreload, Savage Dragon. I do kind of agree with this, actually. Losing Malulu as one of your sub-fusion pieces does stink a lot. Alright, but that's just one piece of the puzzle when you still have access to Rahu to fuse with. Alright, like, you could also go one step further and you could build the branded stuff into the deck, which is what the TCG's been doing. And you could take the deck one step further. You could build Shaddoll stuff into that, which the TCG's also done. So, I think Draco Tail still has a very strong evolutionary period still left in its life cycle, and I can agree with that. And then the last S tier deck they have is Vanquish Soul Canine. One Jewel cool, two is Zuna, with the rest of the deck still kind of being naturally hammered into the ground, is kind of interesting, actually. The deck at least has such heavy restrictions. I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me that the OCG is pushing this deck on, you know, being one of the better variants. I don't know, I'm a little bit intrigued with that. Now, this is where my mind starts to get shaken. They have Mitsurugi in the A tier. Why, though? Mitsurugi. Okay, so you lost pre-preparational rights. Oh, big whoop-de-doo, man. Alright, you still have Herald of the Arclight. I'm glad to see that the OCG did take enough measures to actually kind of take a step back from the meta here and actually kind of provide us with some tools to actually diversify things around here. Alright, like, that was a good thing, but if you really think that Mitsurugi isn't going to be lurking, oh no, they lost the Mendiana World Goddess. What are they going? Hello? Did I miss an entire memo about Mitsurugi just being a terrible deck? Because did I? Hold on. Let's check the notes here. No, we didn't miss a single thing. Mitsurugi will still remain a very strong contender. And then there's Branded. Oh boy, you know the OCG did the opposite. They still have Branded Fusion at 1 over there. They do have all the new Albaz stuff though, which TCG also has 2 Branded Fusions, but they just got their Ash Blossom put to 2. So I think Albaz is finally winning the argument here. You know, for years we've made the joke about, well, what if we just limit, you know, Albaz, and, you know, if we unban Ash, it'll fix things. I mean, okay, I mean, sure. I don't know, man. I think it's a little bit crazy to think that a deck like Brandon and a deck like Mitsurugi aren't viewed as better than Sky Striker. Like, that's where I'm sitting right now. I guess the other thing to kind of think about with that argument is, you know, you also lost Impulse to 2 along the way as well. So that also does hurt some of the consistency and deck building that they might have had on that back burner. Yeah, I guess I could kind of understand that. Now, we drop down into B tier here. which is where you're going to leave Radiant Typhoon, which, by the way, how many Next Play tournaments have we looked at every Wednesday? And how many of these have we had the exact same thought process of, oh my gosh, Radiant Typhoon takes down another event. Radiant Typhoon has been one of the best rogue decks that I feel like I have actually seen in years in this game. Like, especially after Crown and all that extra stuff that we've got coming. I assume that, things are going to change a little bit for it post next set, maybe not. But the reality of the situation is right now, people, that Radiant Typhoon is a very good deck. We've also got K9 listed down here. This is such a hard decision to agree with because, you still only have one Joe-Cool, 2 Azuna to work with. And with those numbers, it doesn't seem like a consistent monster. Now, Elven Notes I can kind of get behind. I think Elven Notes, though this is going to be the real test, now that they've lost the Mini Underworld Goddess, how much of this deck is still going to be able to function? They still do have Armades. If you don't think that Armades isn't full Fiendsmith combo, you've never read this card in your life, because he still is one of the bridging points here to allow this deck to actually kind of function and do very, very well. So that's a good thing. And then, of course, Lunalights. Lunalights, next to Radiant Typhoon, I do kind of think that the deck is kind of the poster child of the rogue meta world. Just because, you've not restricted Liger Dancer in any sort of capacity, which just causes infinite problems. So, yeah, I guess I can agree with that. Also interesting to note here, Odeon is still listed at C tier, which is also tied with Crystron. Really, I feel like Crystron is a better deck than it. Maybe I'm incorrect about that assumption, but sometimes it just feels like that we have a better challenger on our hands here. With that, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So that's your B tier. We also have Exosister, Ryzel, and White Forest. Honestly, the OCG doesn't like using Droll and Lockbird, it seems. So, I'm actually surprised that White Forest just does not do better in these situations. I don't know why. Same thing with Ryzel, Rank 4 Turbo just got bonked, and Exosister. Exosister's dependent on how much meta is going to be involving the graveyard. If there's going to be enough stuff involving the graveyard, then yes, there will constantly be a need for it. But, I don't know, that's your C tier. D tier, we have Blue Eyes White Dragon. Poor Blue Eyes. It's such a shame that this deck has been hammered down so low on the tier list spectrum that it's just not getting a chance to shine anymore. Also, Magnet Warriors got obliterated. Magnet Warriors, I don't know, man. They still haven't touched the Earth Barrier statue in the OCG, so it's crazy to still think about this deck, it just being Barrier Statue Turbo. But the problem is it's not really a good deck. It does things, but doing things isn't necessarily enough to fix the problems. And then, of course, Yummy and Malice exist down here. This is where the tier 1 decks go and they get obliterated. And then, of course, you're also going to notice DDD down here as well. I kind of forgot that DDD was a deck for a little while. It's not like DDD's just doing terribly. No, it's actually quite the opposite. I think the deck's doing just fine. It's just it hasn't had a relevant top run in a little while. Right now, I think Mitsurugi and Albaz are great choices. I think Draco Tail is going to go through an evolution that people aren't really expecting the deck to go through. I think that's going to be a surprise. Draco Tail seems like one of the most versatile packages that we've had in the game in years. And I think people are about to be, shocked to see what's coming from this. So I, for one, am actually excited to see where this is going to go. So, guys, take a second to leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about this upcoming meta. And you guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons! Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.